Hey, I want to use this opportunity to talk about how I slice and key models that I download off of Hero Forge. Hero Forge is great. We all know why we like it. My one complaint is that you can have a model that is attached to a base, or you can have a model that has no base whatsoever. And therefore, you don't have the option of getting the two pieces separate and reconnecting them later down the road. That can be a problem if, say, there's items on the base that would print better if you can position the base one way and the model in a different way. So let's talk terminology. When I say split, what I'm talking about is removing the body from the base and exporting them as two separate STLs. When I talk about key, what I'm referring to are these things down here, where there's a post on the body and there's a hole in the base that allows you to print each separate, add some glue when you want, and then done, you're good to go. Just to sort of help you visualize, here we have that same model. It's been split, and as you can see, I have the base supported at one angle, and I don't have to be supporting the noses on the rats or anything like that. So that'll come out fine. This base I optimized so that I could have maximum detail in the face, just enough detail over here on the end of his hammer, and I could also put my heavy supports under his feet where the damage from removing supports won't ever be seen. So I've had pretty good luck this way. Is this overkill? Yeah, probably, but what the heck, that should never stop you. Let's get started on preparing a model. So I'm going to go in general on, and we start here with your sort of random reference cube. Before I do anything, I set up my preferences. You will find them over here on the right-hand tab. I want units. Obviously, I don't care about mass or rotation. I care about length. I want millimeters. And I'm going to be working at a pretty fine resolution, so 0.01 tends to keep me happy. Then let's place a file. Going to go over to File. I'm going to go import. I'm importing an STL. I'll go models. And in this case, I want Senny, who is our favorite teabagging rogue. And here's Senny. Let me drag him down a little bit so we can position him. Senny is a good use case for splitting and keying a model. When I position a body, I'm really trying to emphasize the face. That's where people's eyes tend to go. I'm going to have to split the difference a little bit to make sure that the swords print nice. I'd like those to be smooth. But we have the cat down here. The cat, I don't know just by looking at it, but it's really conceivable that the cat might be best printed at a different angle than the Senny body. So I'll keep the base and the cat as one model, and I'll have Senny as a different model. Here's, let's assume you're using your standard mouse with the wheel. Wheel, scroll in, scroll out. That's easy. Wheel, click, and hold. You can rotate around the origin. The origin is this red and white circle. Shift, wheel, click, hold is your pan. Other keys that I use are the number keys. Let me hop over here. So number 1 is a rotation. 4 and 6 will rotate by a certain number of degrees. 5 is good. It shifts between perspective view and orthographic view. I like that when I'm trying to get a very precise position. 7, top view. Control 7, bottom view. Those are things that I use all the time. Now, what are our assets? Look in the top right-hand panel. You've got the cube. That's that sort of standard reference cube that appears every time you open. And over here is Senny. You click on that, you get the orange outline. You can rename a asset simply by double-clicking and typing. I'm going to call this cutter because I'm going to use this cube as a essentially as a Boolean object to remove the base from the body. Let's see. So I'm in the layout panel. I want to resize this cube right here. I'll just click on cutter, and here's our scale. And this does not need to be pretty. Just drag until it's bigger than the base. I'm going to rotate so I can see what I'm doing. Make it wider. Base is covered. Now I need to make sure I'm the correct thickness. Don't worry about being pretty. We'll get to pretty later. The four-sided arrow is your move key or move tool. And I'm just going to move this down until I can cover the base but still leave the feet, because I'm going to use the feet as my attachment keys or attachment point. You can still see a little bit of the base right there, so let's go just a little higher, just until it's gone. And I did the wrong thing. Control Z. I want this. There we are. The feet, you can still see the feet, but the base is covered, top and bottom. Now we're going to duplicate our model, and that's because one model will be the body and the other model will be the base. Shift D, and as you can see, I'm wiggling my mouse around, and you can see I now have a duplicate. I'm going to hit Escape, and what happens now is that I have a Cine and another copy of the Cine. I'm going to make this Cine body, and I'm going to make this Cine base. Now we're going to start our cutting. I'm going to hide Cine body, and let's just focus on the base part. So we have the base. What I want to do is remove everything that is not base, and we're going to do this via a Boolean operation. Clicking on here, going back to my bottom right panel, modifier properties, going to add a modifier, Boolean, and I am going to I want the intersection between the Cine model and the cutter. Next is drop down arrow, apply, or you can do Control A. Now check it out. I'm going to hide the cutter, and we have a cut base. One thing done. Let's get to the next. This time we're going to bring the cutter back, highlight Cine body. You can see you have the orange outline. We're back on our modifier. There's the wrench, add modifier, Boolean. And this time what I want is the difference between the cutter, the square or cube, and the body. So we've got that highlighted. I'm going to click my object. I want cutter, and let's apply. And if we did this right, we should be able to see. Now the best part is, since we did not move either model, everything is aligned perfectly, and this is a good thing. Guess what? We don't need cutter anymore. I'm going to delete it. Now we have a problem. And fact is, we need to attach the cat to the base. I'm going to hit Tab. It's going to take us from object mode and put us in edit mode. And then I'm going to do mesh. I need separate, and I want loose parts. And what's happening is everything that's not connected becomes its own STL. That's one model. And this is now a model. I'm going to tab to get back to our layout mode. So this is the cat. In fact, if you want here, we'll call it cat just for fun. And we're back with Cine body. Now I want to do a union between the base and the cat. So I will highlight the base. I will add a modifier. I will add a Boolean. It will be a union. I will say I want it to be a union with the cat. And now a good way to double check is check out this orange outline. It is the outline of both the base and the cat. I'm going to apply my change by hitting, did not go that way. I'm going to go Control A. And now, here I can make the cat hide. Doesn't matter because the base and the cat are the same thing. In fact, I don't need this model. I'm going to make my life simple and delete it. We're going to add the pockets and the keys for this base and body. I find it easier to work with the keys on the body. So let's hide the base. I'm going to Control 7, go to the bottom view, 5, make sure now I'm in orthographic. Object mode, add mesh cylinder. Down here is your dialog box. The sizing is a little strange. Radius says 1,000 millimeters. It's not. Don't worry, the model actually, the STL will export at the proper size. So in that case, if that is 1,000, I like 6,000 for the depth, gives me an appropriate length on the base. We have our 4-sided arrow selected. Moving up, and all I'm doing is eyeballing it to a place that will be hidden under the foot and still give a certain amount of stability. So I'm going to go in just a smidge more. That looks good. Zooming out, we'll click hold. You can see that the cylinder is too high. It needs to be lower. It needs to be indented into the foot just a little bit, but not enough that you can see it. And that actually looks good. Okay. I'm going to rename this cylinder, and I'm going to, since this is a key, I'm going to call this one key. And you'll see why in a sec. Shift D for duplicate. Well, let me click on this. Sorry, Shift D for duplicate. Now this time I want to drag it over. And that looks good. Move it over, make sure that I am not looking at the key inside the foot. Nope, none of the edges protrude. If it did protrude, then it would just be a matter of dropping it down a little lower. This doesn't have to be precise. Calling this 2 key, double click, retype a name. Now let's create pockets. Here's a pocket. Shift D for duplicate. This time, here you can see I'm moving around. I'm hitting escape because I want to leave it exactly where it is. And what I want to do is go down to the right-hand tab, Object Properties. First, I'm going to call this, instead of one key, I'm going to call this one pocket, just so we know. And my experience has been making my pocket just about 15% larger, allows just enough clearance that I can print. And then when it's time to insert the key into the pocket, I'm not running into any clearance. Otherwise, you're going to have to file the one of these things down. It's a royal pain in the butt. So in this case, I want it to about, like I said, 15% larger, so 1.15 on my x-axis, 1.15 on my y-axis. I don't care about my z-axis. Z is vertical. Let's go 2 key, same deal. Come over here, click on 2 key, Shift D, duplicate. I can see I have it. Escape to leave it where I found it. Rename to pocket. Double click to get in. Pocket. Same deal. I want this 15% larger in my X and Y axis. 1.15 tab, 1.15 tab, done. Now it is just a case of simply making my appropriate unions and my my Boolean cuts. So I'm going to hide my pockets because I'm not going to deal with these. Excuse me. Click on my Seni body, wrench for my modifiers, add modifier Boolean. I want a union. I'm going to use the eyedropper. I'm going to select that, drop down apply, add modifier, Boolean, union, eyedropper. Let me get the other one. Look at the orange outline, selects everything, apply, done. I now no longer need my keys, but they were easy to find. Okay, hide the body, show the base, and show my pockets. Here you are. Click on base, modifier, Boolean, this time, difference. And this, I'll use the menu this time. This is why I rename one pocket, difference, apply, modifier, Boolean, difference, two pocket, apply. Let me hide my pockets, and we should have a good result. Check it out, we're done. I'll delete these, I don't need them, just getting rid of junk. And I've now shown the base and the body. If you look underneath, you can see that there's a little bit of clearance between the pocket and the key. And again, like I said, that's all about being able to reassemble things after you're done printing. Final step is export. Clicking on the body, file, export, STL, pick a folder. I'll leave it in this one. And I'm going to name this Seni body. And I screwed up. I did not. I renamed it Seni body. Now the trick is you click selection only. Otherwise, if you do not, it exports everything. In other words, it'll reattach the base and the body, and all our work was for nothing. Export STL. Next, highlight base. Export STL. Selection only. Rename this Seni base. Export. How did we do? Let's find out. Drag in. Arrange all. And now we have separate pieces. We'll talk about using Lychee later, but for some reason, the red means that it thinks there's an error. Just click, repair, and it says 0 holes fixed. So obviously there was nothing to fix. Repair, there might be one hole. One hole fixed, done. And if you look, we have separate. Then your next step would be to position and support. Thanks.